Chapter 2. The Ambitious Scheme. Later that morning, after Rex had wandered off to find a sunny spot for his daily 14-hour nap, and Stella had migrated to a different tree to continue her judgmental commentary on everyone else's life choices, Herb and Gary found themselves lying in their favorite clearing, staring up at the clouds. "Gary," Herb said suddenly, "I think we need to do something important with our lives." Gary didn't open his eyes. "We eat plants and avoid getting eaten by carnivores. That's plenty important." "No, I mean something truly significant, something that will change the world." "The world is fine the way it is, Herb." "Is it, though?" Herb rolled onto his side to face his friend. "I mean, really think about it. Here we are, two intelligent, capable triceratops in our prime, and what do we do with our time? We survive, we prosper, we have philosophical discussions about plant consciousness. Exactly, we're wasting our potential." Gary finally opened one eye. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Herb's eyes lit up with the dangerous gleam of someone who just had what he considered to be a brilliant idea. "Gary, what if we solved the fundamental problem of existence?" "Which fundamental problem would that be?" "The inefficiency of the food chain." Gary sat up, already sensing that this conversation was about to require more attention than he'd planned to invest. "Go on." "Think about it," Herb began, pacing excitedly around the clearing. "Right now, plants grow using sunlight and soil and water, right? Then herbivores like us eat the plants. Then carnivores eat the herbivores. It's this whole complicated system with tons of wasted energy at every level." "It's called an ecosystem, Herb. It's been working for millions of years. But what if it could work better?" Gary had learned to be very careful when Herb started sentences with "what if." "Better how?" "What if we could eliminate the middleman?" "Which middleman?" "Us, the herbivores." Gary stared at his friend. "Herb, are you suggesting we eliminate ourselves?" No. I'm suggesting we eliminate the need for ourselves." "I'm gonna need you to explain that." Herb stopped pacing and struck what he clearly thought was a dramatic pose. "Gary, what if we could teach carnivores to eat plants directly?" There was a long silence, broken only by the distant sound of a pteranodon laughing at them from overhead. "Herb, carnivores don't eat plants because they can't digest plants. That's what makes them carnivores." "Says who?" "Says biology? Evolution? The fundamental structure of their digestive systems?" "But have they ever really tried?" Gary felt a familiar headache coming on. "Yes, Herb, I'm pretty sure they've tried. That's probably how we figured out who was a carnivore and who wasn't. But maybe they haven't tried hard enough, or maybe they haven't tried the right plants." "Herb, Rex has teeth like sabers. He doesn't have grinding molars like us. He literally cannot chew vegetation effectively." "Then we'll pre-chew it for them." Gary blinked. "You want to pre-chew food for T-Rex?" "It's a service economy, Gary. We provide the pre-chewing. They provide, protection from other carnivores." "Herb, we are other carnivores' food. That's the protection they're already providing us from themselves by not eating us every single day." Herb waved dismissively. "Details. The point is, this could revolutionize the entire ecosystem. No more predator-prey relationships, everyone working together in harmony." "And how exactly do you propose we convince every carnivore in the region to completely change their diet?" Herb grinned. "Marketing." Gary put his head in his hooves. "Marketing. Think about it. We create a campaign. Plants, they're not just for herbivores anymore. We get testimonials from satisfied customers. We maybe do some demonstrations." "Herb, the first demonstration would end with us being eaten? Only if we don't plan it properly."
Gary looked at his friend with a mixture of affection and despair. Herb, you realize this is completely insane, right? All the best ideas seem insane at first. No, Herb, bad ideas seem insane at first, then they continue seeming insane, and then they get you killed. Gary, where's your sense of adventure? Your entrepreneurial spirit?
I ate it along with breakfast this morning. It was delicious and didn't try to convince me to pitch dietary changes to apex predators.
Herb sat down heavily, deflated. So you won't help me revolutionize the food chain? Gary sighed. He'd been friends with Herb long enough to know that crushing his dreams entirely would only lead to more elaborate schemes later.
Tell you what, why don't we start small? Herb perked up immediately. How small? What if we just tried to convince one carnivore to try one plant? Which carnivore? Gary thought about this. It had to be someone relatively safe, relatively reasonable, and relatively unlikely to eat them if the experiment went badly. What about Carla? Herb's eyes lit up. Carla was a carnotaurus who lived in the next valley over. She was known for being somewhat eccentric, relatively intellectual, and most importantly, she'd never actually tried to eat either of them despite having had numerous opportunities. Carla is perfect,
Herb exclaimed. She's always complaining about how boring her diet is. Is she? Well, she's always complaining about something. I just assumed diet was part of it. Gary shook his head. Herb, you realize that even if we somehow convince Carla to try eating plants, and even if she somehow doesn't get sick from it, it won't actually prove your theory about revolutionizing the ecosystem? It's a proof of concept. You have to start somewhere. And if she does get sick, or if she tries to eat us for suggesting something so ridiculous, Herb waved dismissively, then we'll know the idea needs more work. We'll know the idea needs more work from inside her stomach? Gary, you're being unnecessarily pessimistic. I'm being necessarily realistic. Same thing, different attitude.
Gary looked at his friend, who was practically vibrating with excitement at the prospect of potentially getting both of them killed in service of his latest theory. Despite himself, Gary felt a familiar surge of affection. Herb might be completely insane, but he was consistently and creatively insane, which was more than you could say about most dinosaurs. Fine, Gary said finally. We'll talk to Carla, but I'm not pre-chewing anything for anyone. That's okay, Herb beamed. We'll start with soft fruits, gateway vegetation. Gateway vegetation, Gary repeated flatly. Exactly. Before you know it, she'll be eating bark and loving it. Gary had serious doubts about this, but he'd learned long ago that sometimes the easiest way to deal with Herb's schemes was to let reality handle the education process. All right, Herb, let's go find Carla and pitch her on the wonders of vegetarianism. This is going to be great, Herb exclaimed, already heading toward the path that led to Carla's territory. Historic, revolutionary. It's going to be something, Gary muttered, following his friend toward what he was increasingly certain would be either enlightenment or disaster. Knowing Herb, it would probably be both.